Hello, I met Sarah Larsson, then a bright-eyed Minnetonka high school student, when she came into the Give Us Wings office to volunteer in 2008. I am Mary Steiner, co-founder and then director of Give Us Wings, a small nonprofit that works with people in Kenya and Uganda in a relationship, grassroots up way. After her first year of college, and after learning a lot about fundraising to pay her way, Sarah went to Nyoga, a remote Kenyan village, as a volunteer with Give Us Wings. I was in Nyoga her first summer there. Sarah was full of answers for people, giving all kinds of advice. That's not really Give Us Wings style, but I knew Sarah was brilliant, caring, and intuitive, so she would figure things out for herself. The people loved her, despite her solution sending, so I knew she was on the right track. Sarah then also traveled to Senegal and to the Balkans. She returned to Nyoga for another whole summer, just to be with the people. In 2012, Sarah, in her thesis at Yale, proved me right. She had, indeed, figured things out. Writing about her experiences in Nyoga, Kenya, she said, "I was constantly reevaluating my position on development. I was participating in my own self-reflective investigation. I thought I was going there to help and change everything. In the end, I had not learned answers to ending poverty, but I had learned a lot of people's names." That is why I am so honored to introduce Sarah today. Her long list of accomplishments is very impressive. But what is truly impressive is her ability to shift paradigms, to be always the learner. It is easy for brilliant young people to sit in their intellectual places and not deal with the nitty-gritty of life. Sarah doesn't do that. She joins people where they are and learns from them what her role can be. Sarah came home to Minneapolis after receiving a hard-earned BA and MA in anthropology at Yale, bringing all of her book and experiential learning with her. She worked with East Africans in Minneapolis and volunteered with the Somali Museum. Today, she is the outreach and development person at the museum, the only museum of Somalian culture in the world. It is also the center for bringing together youth and elders for reducing prejudice through hands-on programs. I sometimes run into Sarah as she represents the museum at cultural fairs. It is not Sarah who is the focus, though. It is the elder Somalian women who are there weaving their beautiful cloth, proudly selling their creations. Sarah always introduces me to the women, and of course, she always knows each of their names. Sarah is also the third Nightingale in the Nightingale Women's Trio that sings folk music of Eastern Europe. Her beautiful voice and spirit live in people around the world who Sarah has met with, talked to, and sung with, because simply she loves them and life. For that, she more than deserves the honor she receives today.
Wow, thank you so much. I always say that on my birthday, it's not really a holiday for me to celebrate, but it's mostly my mom's day because she did all the work to make my birthday a day. So thank you, Mom. I know she's sitting there having a really beautiful morning. And this was just such a fun and delightful surprise to learn that I was being honored here with this event. And I was especially glad to learn that I would be recognized because I felt that it wasn't just recognizing me, but it was recognizing maybe an atypical path of accomplishment for a Minnetonka high school graduate. I'm a performing folk musician, and I'm helping start a museum for one of Minnesota's new immigrant communities in a climate where there are so many issues at the table and so many conflicts that arise surrounding the same people that I work with every day. So I want to really thank the Alumni Association and thank this community for reassuring me that the values that my work embraces of inclusion, bringing people together, understanding everyone's different story is something that this community also appreciates. I guess I also was, in some ways, an atypical high school student when I was here. I skipped class to go hang out in the band room and spend time with my choir director. I persuaded my teachers to let me change assignments so that I could maybe interview someone instead of reading a book. I probably shouldn't be saying this, I'm sorry to teachers who are here. But all that is to say that I've learned through all that time, and I had just glimpses of it when I was in high school, that there are so many different ways of learning and ways of getting closer to understanding that big mystery of what it means to be human and for all of us to be here. And I appreciate that Minnetonka was a place that encouraged me to do that and opened the space for me to learn not just from the books that we were reading and from histories that have been written many times before, but from ordinary people and their stories. So the last thing that I'll share with you is a little bit of the story of how I ended up working at the Somali Museum, which is that when I graduated from Yale, I didn't know what my path was going to be. I had done so much work overseas, I thought I might end up living somewhere in East Africa, but I felt like the Twin Cities were calling me home. So I got a research fellowship to work with an organization called the African Development Center, where I was interviewing entrepreneurs who were immigrants from countries in Africa about their business story. And over the course of that time, I got connected to a man named Asman Ali, who is the founder of the Somali Museum. And what started as an interview where he was telling me about his business and how it got started turned into an hour-and-a-half long conversation about the importance of culture and of preserving our family roots and our stories, and of the way that all the diverse Minnesotans make up the richness that is this state. And by the end of that conversation, I had been recruited to serve as a volunteer for this museum, and a year later, I was on the staff. So all that goes to show the many ways that the people we meet every day, who may not necessarily fit our idea of who's an important person to meet, who might influence your career, the way that those people really can make all the difference. So I want to just encourage everyone that when you look at all the young people around you, to open the doors for them to also recognize the importance of all those ordinary people, all those voices, all those different faces, whether or not they fit your paradigm of what's accomplishment and achievement. Thanks.